Hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of InRange. If you're watching this, you have either seen all or missed all of Desert Brutality match videos.
Every last one of them, because this is the last one.
Because we have 8 stages worth of content before this. Whew. And what we wanted to talk about here is really the match itself.
Yep.
What you think about the match, what I think about the match, the reasons for the match, and also the gear we used at the match.
Yep. So it's been a couple weeks.
It has.
We kind of let it percolate. Figured we wait to do a final concluding video until... not do it in the heat of the moment.
Yeah, we didn't want to do it right after because I kind of wanted to sit on this for a little bit and think about everything that went right. And actually the very few things that went a little awry. Nothing went wrong.
Nothing really went wrong.
No.
It was a very successful match overall. We had over 100 shooters come up.
Yes.
Great people. We had more disqualifications than we wanted, but I think we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yep.
We had some great sponsors who came through with almost too many prizes.
Yeah, actually, I think you could say it was too many, which is a weird thing to say.
The prize table went too long. We ended up giving away, we had, every shooter came up for 2 prizes.
Yep.
And there was still a few things left over.
And these prizes were not bottles of, like, oil.
Yeah, a little sample oil.
They weren't, no, we're talking, like, full-on steel targets.
Yep.
Load-bearing vests. I mean, what else? You were the one dealing with the prize table, actually.
Faxon sent us, I think, 10 or 12 barrels.
Oh,
good barrels. I mean, there was some 6.5 Creedmoor. There were a couple our Stoner pencil weight 14.5 barrels. There were some 308 barrels, I think. Good, nice barrels. Varstalika had a ton of stuff. A lot of it was clothing.
Yes.
Like this,
yes.
Which I think a lot of people overlooked because they didn't realize how good that stuff really is.
Yeah, the merino wool hoodie or whatever. It sounds like an advertisement, but it's not. But the reality is so the sponsors made this event possible.
Right.
I'll go ahead and say this right now. So I'm not going to name all the sponsors right in this video because if you've been watching the match videos, each stage was sponsored by a specific sponsor. But the sponsors what made this viable. So for example, if it wasn't for Varstalika and our Finnish friends, Desert Brutality would not have happened.
Right.
The match would not have happened. They provided fiduciary support to get the range locked down.
I think a lot of people don't realize because some of it I didn't realize and some of it I just didn't add up. Mm-hmm. Just the amount of money it takes to put on a 2-day event like that. Are we willing putting some numbers?
I don't want to put the numbers out there directly because it doesn't matter. But
well, a remarkable amount of money to rent a range. We paid a substantial amount of money to range officers because we wanted to have all of the ROs paid so that their focus was on doing the best job of, so they took it seriously. I'm not saying these guys wouldn't.
Yes.
But, there's a difference between someone who's paid for their work and someone who's just a volunteer. And people who are paid are more reliable and more dedicated to a project. So we spent a bunch of money paying ROs, which I think was a fantastic decision.
And we had a minimum of 2 ROs per stage. Some stages had 3 ROs, and it absolutely made a huge difference in how the match ran.
That was something we'd seen at, like, Tiger Valley.
Yeah.
And went, you know what? This is how it runs right. Nothing bugs me more. If I'm at, like, a big 2-day match where I paid $200 to be there, and then show up and there's one RO, and he, like, hands the score sheet to one of the shooters, and he sits there with a timer, and then it's your job as the shooter to, record the time, check all the targets, tape everything. So our shooters helped out with stage reset.
Oh,
and there wasn't a lot of reset.
No, there wasn't. Well, my stage designs are based around lack of, or intended goal being not one heavy on reset.
Yeah. At any rate, a lot of money went in. So when we say the match was made possible by guys like Varstalika, that's because it's not because we're trying to make a lot of money out of the match. It's because this thing is an expensive deal to put on.
To put this into context, so we have, and without giving us specific numbers, because I just don't want to do that. But when you look at the amount of shooters we had, so 105 shooters, there were some that were comped. Like for example, the Finns didn't pay for their match seats, but they paid to be part of the match by being sponsors.
Right.
So let's say we have 95 paying shooters, and you add the math together, and then we do the amount of money it took to get the insurance, which, by the way, that was a holy mackerel. I spent, I'm not exaggerating, months on getting the insurance squared away. The amount of money to actually lock down the range for 2 days, which is a huge facility. All the stuff that we need to do in terms of targets and other things and all the other auxiliary costs that come with that. By the time when this was said and done, if we hadn't had sponsorship from some of the sponsors we had, this would have been actually, we would have been in the law. We would have lost money.
Substantial amounts of money.
We would have lost. As it stands, with all that said, we didn't lose money. We did profit. And when I want to tell you if you do the amount of hours put into the effort, and I'm not saying this to complain, this is what it is. This is what this match kind of stuff is. With all the hours put into it, the effort to do this, and all the effort and time, the amount of money was below minimum wage.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
So is it possible to run matches like this for profit? I think the answer is yes. The better goal is to do it without losing money, which is where we landed up. Is we did not go in the red.
So, boy, I'll tell you what, this puts a new perspective on some of the other matches.
It does.
Tiger Valley, Red October, Hard as Hell. Man, kudos to the guys who managed to put those things on, because until you've been on their side of the event, it's really, I don't think you really understand what all is required.
Well, for over a decade, I keep saying over a decade, I can't remember how many years it is over a decade
13
now.
or 14
Whatever.
years now.
Yeah, a decade and a half. I've been running the 2-gun action challenge match at Pima Pistol Club. We are a sanctioned match at that club, and therefore we are under their insurance, and the range does not cost us money to use.
Right.
Now, they profit off of the shooters that come to shoot the match because
They
they pay
get
a
all
match
the range fees.
When I run the 2-gun match at Pima Pistol Club, I make exactly 0.00. But the match makes money, or the range makes money, off of the shooters.
Right.
And that's why they're willing to host such an event.
Yeah.
It makes sense. And the benefit we get is that we have a range to shoot it at.
Yeah.
And when I go to them and say, I need some targets, they'll hopefully buy them. When you start to do this and you realize, okay, I'm going to a range that is not the one that I am sanctioned by, I now have to rent that range. Now I also realize they don't even have enough targets.
Yeah.
I actually have to acquire targets through whatever means possible to get enough targets to facilitate the type of stage designs that I want to design.
Yeah.
Then I have to get insurance because I'm not getting insurance from the range that I'm running it under. And now I have to find ROs, and we're going to have 8 stages, so we want a minimum of 16 ROs. You probably want 20 ROs, and you're paying them a per day fee. And you want those ROs, by the way, dedicated to the stage, so they run stage 1 on Saturday, and those same 2 people run stage 1 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because if anything goes weird with the stage design, or however, they interpret the stage design as they interpret it, and they run it consistently for all squads. By doing that and paying them a decent amount, in fact, we paid the ROs more than most matches pay ROs when they pay ROs. That gave us the ability to have a very consistent match that on the very first attempt, with over 100 shooters and huge sponsorship, was a success that actually finished on time. Meaning we were not shooting in the dark.
Right.
Yeah.
We ended up giving away prizes a little bit into the dark.
Yes. But no one was shooting in the dark.
Right.
Everyone got the same amount of light presentation each day.
Yeah.
You might start on stage 1 when it was early morning and it wasn't bright, but by the end of the day you had a bright normal afternoon, and vice versa. You started on stage 5 and the same thing happened, but everyone started at 8 and we finished by around 4 or 5 and everyone had light for the entire day.
Yeah.
So that gives you another consistency in a match. Some of the bigger matches that I've been to actually run so long that you're on the last stage when it is, at this point, night vision is a questionable device worth having, and suddenly stage 8 that was bright light for the guy that shot it too, you're now shooting at targets you can't even see. In fact, you're running through the dark. That actually changes scores, of course. So by running efficiently, we had a fairly consistent presentation of stages for everyone.
I think actually there were a couple issues. We had some issues with par times.
It actually worked out in our favor, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah.
Okay. And we mentioned it earlier on DQs, but I guess we get
let's go with that
pleasant stuff out of the way.
Let's go to DQs first. So we just talked about a lot of things that went right. Well, actually, let's talk about a couple more things that went right first.
Okay.
You know what else went right? I feel, and you tell me what you think, because I was the one that designed the stages, along with some help from a few people, but they were predominantly my stages. I feel that we absolutely did what we said we would, which is we provided a very physical, not impossible, very physically oriented match that included some difficult, some easy shooting, along the lines of what I normally do at my monthly match, but ramped up to a much higher volume level. And we provided something that was somewhere between Hard as Hell 2-Gun and Tiger Valley. It wasn't Tiger Valley and it wasn't Hard as Hell, it was between them. Do you think that's true?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was skewed towards Tiger Valley, which is good.
Yes.
That's the way I would prefer it to be skewed, between those two options. I came out of it kind of like I came out of Tiger Valley. I'm like, that's cool. Let's crank up the physicality a couple more notches for the next one.
Yes.
I think I'm at the extreme end of the spectrum on that.
Well, you'd want it to be like a mud run kind of event, or a tough mudder with guns.
Yeah, except the physical aspects of those are also way too light. Aside from the
you know
running
where I'm
itself.
going with that.
Right. I probably have a higher desire for that than some people. And, I heard from some of the shooters, a match like this, we're going to have a wide variety of experience levels in shooters.
Yes.
And in particular, because a lot of you guys who watch InRange haven't done a lot of match shooting, we had a bunch of people come with this was like their first match ever.
And welcome, guys. It was awesome to have you. Yeah.
And as far as everything I've heard, everyone enjoyed it. I haven't heard from anybody who left pissed off or unhappy about the match, including some people who got DQ'd early on, which is awesome. That's a thing we'll talk about.
On that note, yeah, but on the positive side, a couple of the guys that got DQ'd, which they did get DQ'd for real reasons, but we could have maybe avoided those. You know what they did? They stayed and helped out.
Yeah.
You don't need to do
2
that.
days.
If you got DQ'd at an event and you feel like you don't want to be there, you know it's on you. But you know what? Those guys they stuck it out.
Yep.
They sat there and they became a very useful part of helping reset stages and keep things going. So kudos to you guys that did that. Getting DQ'd is an unfortunate and sad thing, but you know what? You stuck through it and you provided the match another reason that it ran smoothly.
Speaks to the camaraderie of the squads.
Yeah, the more difficult things get, the more difficult a match get or an environment get or whatever, I have found that when you ramp up the physical and make things very difficult and challenging, the more the actual camaraderie comes out.
Yeah.
When it's not just the typical set my variable scope to 8 and shoot the faraway targets and walk away in my techwear shirt. When it is your jumping walls and hey, oh my god, one guy fell off and hit his shoulder or whatever, or some guy fell on the wall
right in the groin.
Right in the groin and needed ice for that.
Yeah.
Or you fell crawling up the mountain when you were trying to shoot your target. All that stuff becomes kind of fun. I mean, as long as you're not really hurt.
Yeah.
It becomes this kind of a bond building environment.
Yeah,
and as a result, people, instead of wanting to see someone not do well, you actually find yourself rooting for your opposition to do well. In fact, if he beats me or not, that's
the Mosin.
yeah, you're rooting for that guy. Come on, man, finish this thing, right? Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. And I think this match environment where you add those elements together and make it as practical and realistic as possible with a physical element that is above average, maybe not where you want it to be, but well above average for most environments. Mm-hmm. When you add those together, it becomes a much more oddly a friendly environment.
Yeah. Well, I think the balance turned out pretty well.
It did.
What I was getting at is there were some people there who were really super expert shooters.
Yes.
And some of them were like, yeah, the shooting could have been a lot. The shooting was pretty easy. And I look at them like, yeah, the physical elements were really kind of easy. But there is a balance in all of these things. Mm-hmm. And I think the balance turned out fairly well. Most people were able to clear most of the stages under the par time. And we didn't have anything where
5-minute par times.
Yeah. And a lot of the stages seemed to come in at 2.5.
Although there were a number of people that didn't make it past the par times too.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, there are going to be people who par out on everything.
And I would say when you talk about the balance, some stages had an emphasis on physical. Mm-hmm. We had one stage, if you watch this, where you're doing suicide sprints back and forth. That's more physical. The one where you're jumping over the wall, crawling under a table, jumping over the wall, crawling under a table. That's more physical. Some of the scrawling up the mountain was a little bit more physical. Mm-hmm. But then on the shooting side, there were some stages that were by no means a giveaway.
Trivial.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Stage 7, which was the canyon fight one, that was a very challenging shooting stage. So there were stages that where the shooting part was quite daunting.
Yeah.
Especially in Classic.
Yeah. Iron sights. Hooray.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think the balance turned out really good. I'm very happy with that.
I agree.
So
that's the positive. Let's go to the couple things that went a little awry. The DQs. Number one DQ, people losing control of their pistols.
Yeah.
It's all, you know what? But that's the same at the monthly match too.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Pistols, it's funny, is when you're starting to train people to use guns, and I'm not saying these are new shooters, but pistols are far more dangerous and easy to lose control of than a long arm.
Yeah.
And so one of the ones that happened a couple times, not a lot, but there was a place where we had to safety the pistol on the dashboard of a car.
Yeah.
And it had this hump for where the speedometer was. And you put the gun down, get out of the car, and then reacquire the gun. And the reason for that was that when the person's getting out of the car, we've seen this at other matches, this is experience based on years of running matches. If you retain the gun, there's inevitably going to be someone that opens the car and goes like this, and they sweep their wrist or their legs in the process of getting out of the vehicle.
Or everybody standing behind.
Or everybody, it's natural. It happens. So some of the places where we do artificial things like put the gun down, pick the gun up, come from a decade plus of seeing those types of mistakes occur. And so in this one stage, we had them put the gun down, and a couple guys put the gun down on the hump instead of down near the glass. And when the gun slid down the hump, it turned and broke the 180. Yeah. Happened, I think, to three people.
Yeah.
And there was what other
There was one guy who had a pistol pop out of his holster while he was running.
That happens.
That happens.
Holster retention is a significant. The more physical the match, the more your holster needs to be the real deal.
Golly, since you mentioned that,
Yeah.
what do I have here?
Oh, you've got the suicide special. We hear about this all the time. We hear people go, "You guys are idiots. You don't know what you're doing. You're using the suicide holster." Well, let me go ahead and say something. The suicide holster is not the best holster. If you could have a dedicated Safari Land holster with proper retention on it, awesome.
Yeah.
When you're in range, Ian and Karl, the UM84 is a godsend because it fits almost every whole pistol we want to put in it.
Yep.
And it provides really good protection against dirt and filth.
And
retention, and it's just fast enough to not hurt your score.
Right. what you do is if you're actually about to draw the gun,
Yep.
you know, if you're on a stage where you start drawing the pistol, you just don't lock it.
Yeah, we'll get into that later. But holster with retention is paramount, especially at physically oriented matches.
And I think that was most. There might have been a 180 violation
think
somewhere.
there was.
I thought there were 5 DQs.
I heard of a couple success stories, for example, of one of the guys, one of our Discord Patreon supporters, was, and I'm not making fun, this is a great story. He was running up the hill. We had this one where he ran up this pretty good slope. In fact, it was stage 7, which also had the hard shooting.
Kind of slippery gravel.
And
too.
his probably not best choice of shoes gave out on him, and he fell. But he fell, but retained the rifle and kept it downrange the entire time. No DQ, keep on going.
Nice. That's
nothing to be embarrassed about. In fact, that's something to be proud of.
I watched a guy do that as well on stage 4, the fob.
Oh,
Man, you know, I was watching him, and he's running down a hill, and he starts tilting forward. And I'm just,
Yeah.
it's like in slow motion because he managed like 3 paces before
you see this thing going
You're like,
down. Yeah, no.
and he face planted.
Yep.
Got back up and kept going.
Yep.
So,
But on that note, the DQs were all just little things like that.
there were no actual safety issues.
There were no real safety issues. There was nothing firearms related. There was no, well, breaking the 180, but not while the gun was being handled. There was no negligent discharges, no accidental discharges, nothing like that.
Yeah.
And we ran the match with that in mind. In fact, one of the things we did to make the safety one notch higher is we did issue a rifle flag for everyone on the range. So normally we run around with closed bolts at the monthly match because closed bolts are actually safer than open bolts for us because we can clear them and know they're clear before they move on. But in this, we wanted visual acuity and indicators as such. So we did use rifle flags.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which worked.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
If you on that note, another thing that I would say is a negative, and I mentioned this earlier, if you decide that you wanted to run a match like this, God help you with insurance. The insurance part, we got a good insurer, and now we have a relationship built. So for future events, if I need to run something that's off of my normal home range, I'm sure that we can go back to them, especially now that we've had an event that had no issues.
Yeah.
However, the amount of pain and paperwork and gnashing of teeth that I went through with that is hard to explain.
What was it? At one point, they were asking you, like, they wanted to know how the match was going to work. And they're like, well, are people getting, how many people are shooting at the guy who's running?
Well, it was not exactly, but I use it as a joke, like how many people are shooting at each other. But they were asking questions that were so obviously they had no clue what it was.
Yeah.
That it was trying to explain to them. So okay, say look, so there are these things and they're called guns. All right. I mean, it was like and there's a magazine and it holds ammunition and you put it and they go say wait. What's magazine? Like magazine you read? No. It's a box with a spring in it. Like it was that kind of conversation. And kudos to them. They came through and we got the insurance rider and all that. But it was that level. And then here's this document, fill it out 14 times. No joke, stuff like that. I was like,
Yeah,
we have found a way to make this horrible, right? and in the end it turned out great.
Yeah.
But the getting there was awful. And of course, we did some other unique things with this match that people who've been watching the match videos know. We had different divisions for this.
About to bring that up.
Okay, why don't we go there?
So, in today's world, there really is no longer an iron-sighted division. People don't use iron sights.
Oh.
It's a matter of, are you using a red dot or a magnified optic, or are you one of the gamer guys who's got like 3 different optics on this gun to cover all potentialities?
Right.
However, because of what we do and what we like gun-wise, and because of what you guys like, we wanted to have a way for people to bring classic military guns into the match. And the whole concept of the match is always that a non-magnified firearm can successfully complete the match. You do not have to have a magnified optic to complete this match.
Yeah, so let me add on to that. I've said this before at Two Gun many times, and I said it in the TFB interview as well, but I'll repeat it again. The least practical rifle left in the world for military application is an unmodified AKM.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I designed, and they're still used effectively in combat in 2018.
Every day.
Now, are they the best? Absolutely not, but they're effective. And so therefore, every stage I design, I apply the mindset that this stage should be not winnable, but completable with an iron-sighted AKM.
Right.
Everything's designed that way. And so that I think that principle came through on our stages.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because you, in fact, completed the match with an iron-sighted
We'll get to that
AK.
in a minute. Yeah, a little bit. But yeah.
So at the bottom end, we had Classic, which is basically AK-74 and earlier military configuration firearms. Iron sights only.
Iron sights only, and you were limited to 30-round magazines.
Yes. And the same thing for pistols. Had to be basically pre-1975 iron-sighted military pattern pistols.
Right. So it couldn't be a high point that had a red dot on it, or a high power. So the red dot on it, but it could be a standard high power.
No Beretta 92s.
Nope,
because they're a little too late.
God, they missed it by like that much too.
It's almost like you did that deliberately. Yeah. I realized after the fact. So we both used like the best gun that was available, which was the Browning high power.
Yep.
I realized after the fact there was a better option, and I have one. The MAB PA-15.
French, oddly.
Yeah. Has substantially better sights.
Yes.
And higher magazine capacity.
Yes.
And I should have used it, but I didn't even think about it.
But that's classic division. So imagine guns before 1974 in their military incarnation.
Yep.
With iron sights.
And I got a little bit of a waiver on this guy. This was developed before 74, but not introduced until 79.
And you were not the only one. There were a few people that got slight waivers. So I had in the division instructions, it said, if you have something that's questionable, contact the match director and we'll make a call. This was one of them. There were a couple others where I'm like, that fits the classic goals.
Does it meet the spirit?
And it did.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then moving up from there, we had Scout, which is basically tac scope.
That is the tac scope equivalent. Yep. A variable scope on a gamer gun.
And to me, that's the most practical of them.
It is.
I have an AR-15, and I've got an optic on it, either magnified or not, but just one. Either a red dot or a like 1 to 4, 1 to 6 variable.
Yep.
And a pistol with iron sights. That's Scout.
Yep.
We had Sport, which was the equivalent of Open at the far end.
Everything goes.
Whatever.
Imagine the most gamer AR with a bipod and a variable optic and a red dot on the side and iron sights and a coffee maker.
Yeah.
That's Sport.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Armored and Armored plus P.
So Armored was just the standard Armored we know around at my normal 2-gun, which is you're required to wear front and rear rifle rated plates. Okay, and as a result of wearing that crud, you kind of have your weapons can be open.
Right.
You could have whatever configuration, and as long as you're willing to carry the crap, you can use it.
Yep.
Armored plus P was the next step forward in what I think the incarnation of what Armored should be.
Okay.
Armored plus P required a helmet. It did not have to be a ballistic grade, but it had to be a helmet.
Any helmet's a pain in the ass.
Pretty much, but an ops core bomb helmet would apply, and certain specific rated skateboard helmets apply as well. Ballistic helmet would apply as well, but you had to have a helmet. You had to have front and rear facing rifle plates. You had to carry all of your ammunition and all of your gear for the entire match throughout the duration of the event. So that means not just Sunday, not just Saturdays. You need to have everything you're going to use Saturday and Sunday on you the entire time.
Right.
Quite a challenge. So it's a combination of trooper and armored.
Right. How do you think the balance turned out between Armored and plus P?
Well,
did they accomplish the goals that you had in mind?
What I would think would be the better thing to do in the future is I would just get rid of armored. Okay. I think armored plus P should be the armored of the future.
Okay.
And I think we should look at focusing armored into that more armor plus trooper kind of config.
Okay.
We had a very small number of people that actually shot just armored. It seemed like the majority of people that wanted to go full bore with that level of pain went straight to armored plus P.
Okay, that makes sense.
And I think that it's the one that also applies the most to real world loadouts.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with helmets.
Helmets, man, helmets suck. Even the good ones kind of suck. So, but that said, and actually, Sinistral Rifleman Russell Fagan in his video said this, and I have to agree with him. Everyone thought Armored plus P was the most difficult division going into it. And I'm not saying this because we were in it. I think the most difficult division was Classic.
Optics are really helpful.
As we've said on InRange, what is the advancement of the future of firearms? Sighting systems and modern materials.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have modern materials and we didn't have sighting systems. We had the hardest division. And it was most evident in a couple of the stages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about what you had.
All right. So, well, actually, how did we place, first of all?
You took first in Classic and 9th overall.
10th overall.
10th overall?
Out of 105.
I took second in Classic and 19th overall.
And it wasn't looking like that at first. You were getting me for the first six stages.
I went out
5
in an
stages?
explosion of glory at the end.
But you had a couple stages that went awry. Stage 7, I took a huge lead on you.
Yeah.
And then stage 8, you made some weird calls. But so we were really doing this. And but anyways, what did I use? Well, I used a high quality Century Arms Golani. Right, this is Century Arms. So what a Golani is parts kits came in from Israel from the Galil rifle, and I don't remember what years, late 90s, early 2000s.
Boy,
I don't know. Pick a year. Century Arms took those parts kits, and most of this gun is Israeli. The bolt carrier, the bolt is Israeli, the sights are Israeli, the stock is Israeli, the magazine is Israeli, the pistol grip's Israeli, the receiver's not. And so they made their own receivers, and they built American-made parts kit builds of Galils called Golanis.
Right.
The real functional difference is that on a real Galil, pushing forward takes the safety off.
You know, I have to tell you.
Yeah?
I checked up on that.
Yeah?
It doesn't.
What?
On the Ace, they changed it.
Really?
On the later versions of the Galil, they changed it, but the original Galil, safety works just like that one.
Okay, well, anyway, so this is a perfect reproduction of a parts kit Galil. And so you pull, what the big advantage here, though, is that when you flip down, the safety goes off, and you can use your thumb to activate and deactivate the safety. This is a fundamentally huge shift in how you manipulate an AK.
Right.
This is a big deal.
I know, it's so much worse than a regular one.
It sounds like nothing, but this matters because the ability to go on safe when you're moving in dynamic situations, or more importantly, get it off safe without having to manipulate or move your fingers out of the way, is a big deal. You can do a lot with those Krebs, but this is better. I did not know that. Wow. So the Ace is when they changed that.
Yeah. Not like the commercial Ace.
Yeah.
And I'd have to look it up.
Right,
to
right.
see
So, but the
exact date.
Galani itself, so by the way,
original
guys,
Galils. Yeah.
Galils are pretty rare here, hard to get and expensive. So the Galani is the cheap Century Arms equivalent, which I was able to acquire at a gun show, actually not that long before Desert Brutality. And so I did not know, honestly, that was the way it was. I was under that misunderstanding. So anyway, so this is actually a better rendition of the Galil. It's called the Galani. It's by Century Arms. The big difference, the sights.
Yeah.
So this gun, the Galil, was patterned after the Finnish Valmet.
Yep.
They looked at the Valmet, and the Israelis are like, you know what? We want an AK, and we want it to be a lot like that. And they took the Valmet, and they changed a couple things. The sighting system's almost identical. They did this weird up-curve charging handle, which, by the way, that can go to hell. I don't like that at all. That up-curve charging handle is no advantage at all to me.
Doesn't really. It's one of those things that looks like it might help on paper, but it really just kind of doesn't.
Kind of sucks, actually. It's actually more in the way. They did change the way the magazine release has an extension here so that when you have your trigger finger here, you can actually push this with your trigger finger and the mags will come out. Didn't really use that for much.
Yeah.
The dust
Minor
cover
thing.
is an extremely tight fit, which is good. And you can see that the actual spring retention there is actually much longer.
Yep.
And all that turns into a dust cover that locks in solidly, meaning that your rear sight does not move around your zero while you're shooting the gun.
Right.
Pretty darn important. Folding Ace style stock, although it's not an Ace stock, obviously.
It's a standard Galil stock.
Yeah, it is a Galil stock. And the magazines hold 35 rounds. However, because of the rules at Desert Brutality, I carefully only loaded them to 30 rounds. So the big benefits of this is you've got good sights and a better safety, and magazines that I could not leverage to their best potential.
Right.
But I shot the Galani, and I shot an Israeli parts kit high power, which I do not have here on video because it was borrowed from a friend and I returned it to him after the match. But I was all IDF in terms of my firearms. How about you?
Well, you guys didn't see it on video because we didn't film several of them, but I actually shot this, my FAMAS, at a couple of monthly two-gun matches for practice.
Yes.
In the build-up to Desert Brutality, which was a really good thing to have done. You know, there's a learning curve on stuff. I can take a new rifle to a monthly match and usually do okay with it. But for something that was this significant, I wanted to have more time under my belt.
So with that said, if you're going to bring something if you're going to take something to a major match, make sure it's been vetted very well. Because there's nothing like a major match that caused something you haven't vetted to literally explode into a shower of sparks. And the first time you brought out your FAMAS, the gun was fine, but there's some stuff that went wrong for you that would not have been something you would have known how to deal with until you'd done it, and you avoided that at Desert Brutality as a result.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I freaking love this rifle.
I know.
J'aime beaucoup ce fusil.
Wait, because it's French, right?
No, actually, no. And I think I said this in some of our match conclusions.
Right.
I bought this thing because I wanted it in my collection, because it's relevant to my personal collection, and I figured I'd shoot it at a couple of matches, and then it'd go up on the wall, because it's a 1970s military rifle. I'm sure there's stuff wrong with it, you know. And the more I shoot it, the more I actually really come to like it and appreciate its qualities. No one's going to actually believe this, but it's not because it's French.
Let me vouch for you on this, because when you were very excitedly acquiring this, which I can understand because it's a rare piece in the United States, honestly, your interpretation was, I'll bring it to the two-gun match, it'll suck, and I'll put it on the wall.
Right.
That was pretty much what you said, even though it was a French gun. And then you brought it out and shot it, and while you had a couple things that didn't go right, because we initially tried to play with the red dot on it and all that, which is another conversation for another day, it worked out well for you.
Yeah.
And then I tried it out. I didn't shoot it on the clock. Well, I did, but nothing that you saw on video.
And left-handed, by the way.
I shot it left-handed, but then I landed up shooting. I'm like, something went awry with bullpups, because this was on a path that was reasonable.
Yeah.
There's some problems. I'm not going to say it's
not
perfect.
But
this, as bullpups go, I'm going to vouch for it. The FAMAS handles quite beautifully.
You know what? The only rifle I think that would legitimately compare to this, well, there'd be two. For the classic division rules, AK-74 is a contender. I think this is better, but the 74 is a contender.
Sights.
Right.
Sights are bad.
And a Vietnam pattern M16.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, this is better than anything else that was out there at the time.
Well, this is pretty good.
This is better.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you'd had this,
Yeah.
you would have done better than you did with that.
The biggest force multiplying function you have on the FAMAS is that free floated bipod.
Yep.
Which, by the way, is light enough that it really isn't in the way. It
is
doesn't add a
not
lot of
at
mass.
all in the way. These legs are super lightweight.
And once you fold them up, they're also not in the way.
They look like they might be, but they're actually not.
No, they're actually not.
The rifle ran literally flawlessly for me for the entire match.
It did.
I did not clean it during the match. It is disgusting. That's one thing about this. This is the filthiest rifle I've ever actually shot.
Just funny.
It is. It's levered delay blowback,
Oh.
and man, it is disgusting inside.
Yeah, yeah.
But the dust didn't care.
No.
Literally ran perfectly. Magazines are a little fragile.
Yeah.
We touched
Oh.
on that in one of the videos.
Yeah.
So I had to be careful with magazines, which I will continue to be in the future.
They're truly disposable.
Yeah. They're more disposable than AR-15 mags
They are.
were originally supposed to be. But the bipod was a massive benefit to me. The one stage where I did the worst with this was stage 7, which was one of the long-range shooting stages.
Oh, yes.
And that was one of the reasons for that was this bipod does not, once it's deployed, it's not adjustable.
It has no pivot or adjustment of length.
Right. So
Yeah.
on the stages where I was on flat, level terrain, it's awesome.
Bing.
It makes a huge difference. On stages where you're shooting at 200 and you're canted like this,
And
on
you're
the
literally
ground.
shooting on a surface that's like this.
Now, the solution to that is to learn your offsets for windage for shooting a tilted gun.
Or you could have maybe got super clever and done something like put your hand out and try to raise one bipod up or something like that.
Yeah. That was something I had not really considered and not thought about and not prepared for going into the match,
Yep.
and it ate my lunch on stage 7.
It did.
The first half. And then there was a shooting port that was shorter than this. And hey, this is a big, bulky chunk of stuff. And so I had issues with that as well. Other than that, the rifle did everything that I ever could have asked of it.
Let the audience know the stage was not designed to cause those foibles. It just happened to be there, and that's what happened.
Yeah.
So in that regard, you said it ran flawlessly. I'm going to go ahead and say that this did not.
That's right. You had a couple of issues.
I had 2 minor ones.
Weren't they both magazine issues?
They were. The gun runs fine. For being a Century Arms build of a Galani or a Galil parts kit, the gun ran fine.
It does help that only one of those substantial parts was made by Century.
Well, the
being the
handguard
receiver.
and the receiver. The rest of this is Israeli.
And fire control bits.
But the rest is Israeli. One of the magazines I had in my pack that showed up twice. This is the number your mags thing. One time I had a malfunction that was caused by a double feed that came out of the mag.
Yeah.
And I cleared it pretty quick. And then later I had the same thing happen. And I realized it was the mag, and that mag got goodbyed. But it did happen to me twice. However, it was not the rifle. It was the mag. So, and these I got at the same gun show that I was able to acquire the Galil. I got literally a pile of Galil mags, and I did not have time to try and test them all out before the match. I just fed them, and if they felt good, like in other words, they weren't like squishy, and the rounds didn't just fall out, I'm like, that's a contender, and I put it in my kit. And so, but one of them was wrong, and that one's now out of my world, but it did cause me a problem twice.
Okay.
And it was a double feed both times.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, otherwise the gun ran fine. And I have to say this, I learned one other thing about that actually.
Yeah.
So, I said the sights on the Galil are far better than the AK. That is true. However, the rear aperture is very, very, very small. Very tiny. It gives you a nice, fine sight picture when you're aiming at stuff. Fine. Until it's morning. And there's low light. And then when you look through that little tiny hole, all you see is gray. And my worst performance at the match, both days, was stage 1. And the reason wasn't because the gun wasn't zero. It was because the light wasn't sufficient to get a clear sight picture through that tiny, tiny aperture.
Yeah.
The minute the sun rose, suddenly I went from bang, miss, 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 hit, to hit, hit, hit. Like it literally went from that to that. The aperture's too small.
Okay.
Something you learn. The only way you find this out is by using these guns
You know what?
on the clock.
I've got multiple different
Don't
apertures
you have-
I can choose from.
You have 3, right?
I have 3, but one of them is like a legit useless ghost ring. Middle of the night sort of
Shoot
thing.
down the trough.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I've got a large and a small, and it's
Yep.
that's the process for switching.
This does not. It has a 3 and a 5.
Right.
But they're both the same diameter, so it's irrelevant. Yep.
You didn't use the night sights?
I did not use the night sights.
The giant buckhorns.
Yeah, I would have been like, let's go to the Old West here and use the night sights. I did not do that.
Yeah.
That would have been a bad idea. But at any rate, So I did learn some things about the Galil. It actually gave me quite a bit of appreciation to what the rifle was.
Okay.
However, I can see why when the Israelis received a large stockpile of M16s and M16A1s, they went,
Oh, yep.
yeah, second line guy, here you go. Like, yeah, there's a reason the AR became what it did. However, the Valmet and the Galil both proved themselves out to be very excellent forward movement in terms of the design of the AK.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, other gear. So other stuff we did. So
Yeah.
you had a Beret.
So, yes, I did. +2 to Elan or something.
That's important.
That was fun. You
Yeah.
know what?
No, yeah, totally.
An aspect of this is, especially when we're filming it on camera, look good and have fun doing it.
At the same note, I had my normal head rag.
Yep.
And then people ask me, and they're like, why do you do this? But it actually does work really well. I wore a cotton flight suit.
Yeah.
Couple of reasons for that. One, that's actually historically not that inaccurate. Some of the high-speed guys back in the days, especially the Galil and M16A1 days, started doing that because those flight suits are quite comfortable. You can move around them really well. They got lots of pockets and lots of good places. So that's actually not historically wrong, and it was very comfortable and really easy to move dynamically in.
I do want to say one thing. You've given me a hard time for the Beret before because it's an utterly useless piece of headgear.
It is.
However, I would argue that it is not. It does two things well.
Okay.
The thing's wool, and it is actually warmer than not wearing a hat.
All right.
Which was an issue in the morning.
Okay.
And it keeps my hair out of my eyes.
Okay, most military guys don't have that problem.
That's true, but I do.
Okay.
It actually kind of does the same things that your head rag does.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
The head rack has other applications, though.
Sure.
But yes. Okay.
But I legitimately,
All right.
for me, it does that without creating a brim that gets in the way.
And
of
my
my
head
eyes.
rag does the same. However, my head rag doesn't fall off when I'm throwing kettlebells.
True.
Yours
That
does.
was kinda cool.
We had a total eclipse of Ian, in which he threw the kettlebell and your beret fell off behind you, and it put a perfect moon eclipse on your back in a photo, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's Newtonian force right there. It's kettlebell goes that way and beret goes that way.
Yeah, yeah. So now let's go through our carrying of stuff. How did we carry our stuff? What did you do?
Well, I use the same thing that I use in all the regular matches.
it looks
which
like your
is-
hard as hell 2-gun rig.
It's the exact same thing.
Oh wait, it's the same thing.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's a Brokos battle belt. I've got the suicide holster.
Yep.
Dump pouch.
Yep.
Which was particularly useful here because these FAMAS mags are
Super
delicate.
In fact, you bent one of your mags putting it in your dump pouch. I
think,
thought.
I don't know. I damaged 2 of them, and I don't know when it happened for either one,
You know aluminum foil you wrap old meat in?
Yes.
It's a little thicker than that.
but not much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just even with pistol mags.
Yep.
You dump them in the dirt, they get dirt in them, and then maybe they don't work on the next stage.
Fair
so
enough, yeah.
dump pouched all my mags, and then I've got 2 of the double tacos. One rifle mag, one pistol mag.
Now, everyone asks this, and every time we use those doubles where it's rifle pistol, did you ever accidentally grab a pistol when you wanted a rifle, or did you ever accidentally grab a rifle when you wanted a pistol?
No.
I didn't at this match either, but I have.
Okay.
It can happen. But I didn't. It's not the big deal that people make it out to be.
For me, the convenience of
Yeah.
having, 2 of each plus 1 in each of the guns
Yep.
is pretty much everything I ever need.
Well, look at your loadout there. You're out of space. You don't really have a lot of room to put anything more on that belt.
I have a pouch here for a bipod,
Yeah.
which wasn't relevant, but this thing doesn't have snaps or anything, and it's never been worth the pain in the butt to try and take it off.
Sure.
So it's still there.
And that was all the mags you had on you was 3 mags total?
Yeah.
3 only
Yeah.
for every stage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was, I don't think I ever needed, I may have gone to the 3rd mag once or twice. I think the long
Stage
range,
7, I
stage
would think.
7, I went
Yeah.
to it. Didn't run out of ammo anywhere. And remember, if I wanted another mag,
Yeah, you could throw them in your
I
dump
can
pouch.
throw them in the dump pouch and have
Do
them.
not underestimate the value of a dump pouch. It's not just a dump pouch, it's a place to keep extra stuff you don't have a place to put it.
Yeah.
And it matters.
And to carry the rifle,
That looks like a 3-point, man.
this is actually an original French military 3-point FAMAS sling,
All right.
which you detest,
yeah.
and I totally understand the problems with them. There are 2 reasons I went with this.
Yeah.
One is I wanted to see how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sling that's supposed to go on the rifle.
Sure.
The other is because they designed the rifle to use this sling.
Yep.
It has rear sling hooks, bars on the back.
It does.
It does not have a front sling swivel.
No, it does not.
It has a little specially shaped stud on the bipod leg.
Yes.
That clips into a little specially shaped latchy thing,
Okay.
and that's the bipod. That's the sling.
Cool.
You don't get. The only other way to do it is to use paracord or something and tie it.
Can you make that a 2-point when you don't want it to be 3?
Probably.
I don't know.
I suspect you could.
You know, I didn't mention I actually used my old standby Viking
Yeah.
Tactics 2-point because the sling did not have to be time relevant in Classic. It could be any sling.
Yeah. There was one place where this was actually. Most of the places I didn't use this. I didn't need it.
Right.
The one place where it was stage 6, which is where we're kicking indoors.
Oh, yeah.
And I was able to sling this thing up tight on the chest.
Door kicking.
and draw a pistol and shoot around the gun.
Yep.
Kick doors in around the gun.
Yep.
It actually worked.
For people that
pretty
don't
cool.
know this, at this match we did mostly run the guns hot with safety on, but there were a couple stages and a couple places where we required you to clear the rifle,
Yep.
Tiger Valley style, make sure it was clear, when then you dump the bolt on an empty chamber, and then you could then do anything you wanted with that rifle. You could throw it over your head. You could literally throw it over your head, sling it. The 180 was no longer relevant to that RO cleared rifle on the clock.
Right.
We didn't do it at every movement. We actually only did it like 3 places,
Yeah.
but we did require it in 3 places, and the door kicking stage was one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. It actually worked the way it was supposed to there.
Cool. Awesome.
So that's my gear.
So on that note, mine isn't that different. I did have the same kind of battle belt that you used. On that battle belt though, I had the suicide holster, I had a dump pouch, and I had 1 rifle mag and 1 pistol mag.
Okay.
But I have found personally, the more physical and dynamic the movement is in the match, this is for me, I tend to prefer more of my weight on my chest rig.
Okay.
So I put less on the belt and more on my chest. That's me. This is an old Spectre, I don't think you can get these anymore, SpectreGear.com load bearing vest. If they make this one anymore, I don't know. People ask all the time, but it's an old Spectre Gear, and I mean old. It's like I've had this for like 15 years. I had a tourniquet for obvious reasons in close proximity. I had a medical kit on my belt. You didn't have any medical.
I did not.
Ooh.
You had a medical kit.
Yes, fair enough. I had my mag pouches here, and I had pistol mags there. So I like I said, the more important part of that discussion is the more physically oriented the match is, and you saw me doing this at Tiger Valley as well. I put less on the belt and more on my chest. It's just me.
That's something I'll have to play with.
It's my preference. And then this is what I wanted to bring out. I already talked about my flight suit. So, you know, when you're moving around and dumping down into the rocks, when you want to be able to go prone fast, knee pads are good. Okay, and we knew that we were going to do that here. So these are the Arc'teryx Dead Bird, you know, the old Arc'teryx Dead Bird Pterodactyl things. But these actually, if you're going to get knee pads that you put on top of what other gear you have, these are the only ones.
Okay.
Don't bother with any other thing. Get the Arc'teryx. They stay put. Then, but for my elbows, I used to have the expensive, cool Gucci something or others. Those things suck. I went to Big 5, and these are, I'm not kidding, $10. They are elasticy sock type material with a cushion on the back, and you just put it on over anything else you've got on already, which is going to be a little clumsy on film, but there it is, already there. These things, they absolutely stay put. They do not move. These do not fall off.
Nice.
They don't change positions. They stay on your elbow. Nothing worse than thinking you have an elbow pad on, and then you go, bam, and then you're like, right? So
It's a tricep pad now.
Sucks.
Yeah.
These do not move. And so you
Okay.
put them on both. They're comfortable. You can wear them all day. They don't give you this strap burn thing that happens with other ones. They don't last forever. This padding will wear out, and then you're like, huh, my $10 stuff is gone. You just go buy another $10 set of elbow pads. And screw the tactical thing. Big 5, elastic, elbow pad things, fantastic.
You know, I completely forgot about that. I should say I had similar equipment for a similar purpose. I was wearing French CCE camo.
Oh, yeah.
For the match.
Yeah.
And those pants actually have Velcro pockets on the knee.
Yes.
And I have a pair of foam pads about this big. One went in each knee.
Yep.
And that took care of that totally adequately. And then the combat shirt has reinforced elbows, and they're like seriously heavily reinforced.
Yeah.
Enough so that it wasn't an issue. I was able to. I don't really go down hard on my elbows much, but those times when I was shooting prone, it wasn't an issue with those things.
You're so agile that I try to gain speed by just throwing myself at the ground. Like I just kind of go, there's the ground, I'm going to throw myself at it. And it doesn't look like it on film, but that's what I'm trying to do to gain speed. So I kind of go down hard, and I like having protective gear on. Plus, certain environments, you don't know what you're dealing with. You can go to matches where the rocks on the ground are just a pile of razor blades.
Yeah.
It really happens. So on that note, I think what else is there to say at this point, really? That's all the gear.
Yeah.
This was, in my opinion, everything we wanted it to be and more. It was Tiger Valley and Hard as Hell smushed together with my kind of like twist on it. And I'm not saying this to be, I'm not trying to be arrogant at all. This is what I want to see more of Two Gun be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that finding the middle ground between practical, realistic shooting presentation, but with real physical challenges thrown into the mix in a safe environment, changes everything about how you think about why and what you want to shoot and why and what you do with it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, I am not going to ask you about what's going on for Desert Brutality 2019.
I'm still finishing administrative stuff for 2018.
I'm going to give you a couple months to forget and lose track of how much of a gigantic pain in the ass it was to run this one before we talk about the next one.
Fair enough.
But I look forward to shooting more matches like this.
I suspect we will have a 2019. I'll tell you, if you ask me right after the match, okay, the match was over, it ran well, better than I could have
I
ever
believe
asked
the
for.
quote from you was, "I'm never doing this again."
Someone goes, "You gonna run this again?" I'm like, "No." And then this is like everything.
You slowly forget
The
how
good
bad
idea
it
fairy
was.
comes back, and you're like, "That was awesome." Bing. You should do it again. Bing. Why don't you do it better now in 2019? Bing. You already have a relationship with the insurance company. Bing. And you're like, bing, bing, bing. And you're like, "Oh yeah, that was great. I'm going to do it again."
I've got a great idea. Let's do Desert Brutality 2019.
So odds are we'll announce it earlier this time, so we have more the ability for people to plan accordingly. Odds are it will happen again.
cool.
Yes. So
We're toying with ideas like working with some sort of travel company to do booking for people who are coming in from far away, because we had a substantial number of people.
I don't want to promise that, but yes.
No, but
yeah.
it's something that we're looking at,
Yep.
or at least I'm looking at. We had, I think the farthest we had anyone come who wasn't Varshlika sponsoring the match
Switzerland.
was a kid from Switzerland who came over for his vacation.
Holy mackerel.
That was awesome.
But we had people from across the country, Switzerland, yeah, obviously the Finns,
Some East Coast people who
Yeah.
drove. I mean, yeah, that was really impressive.
Discord squad.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. Some real, and like I said, it was a friendly, as I said in the match description, this is a no cutthroat zone.
Yeah.
This is designed to be a place where it's about you and others getting better with you
Yep.
on the clock, but with prizes and fun involved, but some difficulty too.
Yep.
And as a result, it really filled all of those goals.
Absolutely.
It really did.
Yeah.
So hard to say anything more than that.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching all the stage footage. If you joined us for Desert Brutality 2018, congratulations. Thank you very much. You know, we talk a lot about the sponsors, but ultimately it doesn't matter how many sponsors. If we didn't have shooters
No.
sign up, it also wouldn't have happened. So
Having this many shooters for a first large inaugural event is actually,
very unusual.
as far as I'm aware, it's unheard of. This was the biggest turnout I've ever seen for a big deal event like this. So
Came that close to selling it out.
we did,
So
Yep.
we will sell it out next year, if there is a next year.
probably.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
So, if you enjoyed this sort of thing, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We are a fully viewer-supported channel. You can find us on YouTube, on Full30, on Facebook, on BitChute. I think that's it at the moment.
Yeah.
If you can't support us directly, we totally get it. But do us a favor, subscribe to the channels, and share the content with your friends.
Thanks a lot.